necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. We made it through the week. It is good to see all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. And we got some very special guests lined up for you today. And a lot to get to on day 2 of these tariffs, where the Dow just plunged 1,900 points. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Let me repeat that. The Dow has plunged 1,900 points because of China implementing those same tariffs on us, 34% tariffs on imports from the U.S. We'll be talking about that. Ron Filipkowski from Midas Touch is going to be joining us here in just a few minutes to give us his take on this and this Laura Loomer meeting we got to get to. The stock market is crashing and Donald Trump is panicking. Thank you for joining us, everybody. As I mentioned, Ron joining us here in a few minutes, Nicole Mitchell in hour number 2. And we are on the YouTube Super Chat, of course, where your questions and comments can be heard. We also have the promotion this month where with a minimum of a $25 donation, you will be entered into a contest where you'll be able to co-host with me for at least one segment the following month. So pushingthelimits.live, you could also make donations there as well. A federal judge, by the way, just ordered the Trump administration to return immigrants who were mistakenly deported to El Salvador. So that is very interesting. I've been talking about that story. I talked about it on the Piers Morgan show. So we will be getting to that as well. So a lot to get to today, a lot to go over. Another very busy news day while Donald Trump is on the golf course, mingling with his Saudi friends and the Live Golf Tour in Florida while, again, the stock market has crashed. So to talk to us about this and much, much more, they have the number one podcast in America, the number one political podcast in America. And it is always a pleasure to have Ron Filipkowski join us from Midas Touch. Ron, good to see you again, my friend, on another very busy news day. How are you?
Yeah, just watching that stock market go.
Yeah, it's not looking good, is it, Ron? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Age.
Yeah, the golden age, exactly. So let's talk about that. So Donald Trump puts out a Truth Social tweet today asking federal chairman Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. And it seems like, once again, he's asking for a bailout when he screws it up. What do you make of this? And is this a surprise to you at all?
No, I mean, the entire time that Biden was president, he was calling for Powell not to lower interest rates. And now, of course, the second he becomes president, he wants them lowered. But Powell gave a statement today and he basically just said, look, there's so much economic uncertainty. We don't know from day to day what the policy of the U.S. government is going to be regarding tariffs or anything else. So I can't really do anything right now is basically what he said. So, of course, Trump wants to do something to heat up economic growth. Also, that would help him with the stock market, with investors. But look, these people are too smart. Powell is very apolitical. He is not someone who plays politics for either side. And so he's just not going to take the bait here. I mean, the big problem is China. I mean, that's just the tariffs on China and the stock market went down about 1,000 points and then it was kind of hanging there. And then China announced reciprocal tariffs and then it goes down. And then Powell gives his speech, I'm not lowering interest rates, goes down more. So, I mean, I don't know what's out there to really stop this free fall at this point, other than Trump just coming out tomorrow and saying, hey, April Fools, I changed my mind on all this.
So, Ron, you tweeted about this. Logistically speaking, what transpired yesterday and today, and Donald Trump decides to get on Air Force One and fly to Florida because the Saudis have spent millions of dollars on his golf course, which is Doral, for the Live Golf Tour. On the plane, there are a few reporters there, and he's bragging about the gold card, the $5 million gold card. I mean, and he's playing golf today, Ron. I mean, can you just explain the behavior of the last few days of Donald Trump and how he's reacting to all of this?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the reporters who are on the White House press pool are saying that he just doesn't care. He literally is like, I don't care. I don't care how many negative news stories there are. I mean, he's got that attitude of like he's king, and there's nobody in Congress is going to stop him. And this is the problem. The problem is for Republicans in Congress is that they own this. When Trump first took office, they passed as part of the CR authorization to give Trump a blank check on tariffs. It's Congress's power to levy tariffs, not the president, but they authorized the president to do it by executive order. And he took that ball and ran with it probably a lot more than they expected. And so now they own this. They're responsible for this because anytime now they could take this power away from him. They could reverse his tariffs tomorrow if they wanted to. And probably that would pass in the Senate. And it probably is going to be brought up a bipartisan bill. Chuck Grassley, of all people, is sponsoring this to repeal the tariffs. The problem is Mike Johnson has already said, I will not bring this to the floor for a vote. And Trump has already said he will veto it. So what that means is that these are not Trump's tariffs. These are the tariffs of the Republican Party, and they all have to own them.
I mean, where do you see this thing going, Ron? I mean, how far is Donald Trump going to take this? And the economy is going to continue to tumble. Many economists would agree with that. Experts in this field. You do have some Republicans, not many, but some of them that have come forward saying this is not a good idea. Where do you see this going a week from now, a month from now?
Yeah. So there's a real divide in the White House between the economic team, which is more Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Kevin Haslett, the chief economic advisor, do not want these tariffs. They are not in favor of these. But then you have on the other side, you have Howard Lutnick, you have Peter Navarro, the trade advisor, Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, and Donald Trump. And so here's how this is going to play out is this. If Donald Trump truly believes over the long term, this is going to be good for the economy, that this is going to actually like bring manufacturing back to America, and this is going to cause our economy to boom in 6 months or a year, he's likely to leave these in place. But if he loses, if Republicans in Congress go crazy and lean on him and say, you're going to kill us in the midterms, then the next question becomes, does Trump even really care? Has Trump ever shown any interest in whether these people win their reelections? He didn't campaign for any of them in the 2022 midterms. He did nothing. He raised $200 million that he said he was going to use to help Republican candidates in the 2022 midterms. And he spent none of it. He pocketed all the money. So this is a guy who has shown that he really doesn't care whether members of Congress, Republicans, win re-election or not. So the question is, are all these other countries going to cave? If they cave, then he's going to be able to declare a victory and say, hey, look, I won all these concessions. But number one, I don't see China caving.
Yeah.
And Japan and South Korea already announced that they're going to form a new trading bloc with China. So I don't see the EU caving. I don't see Canada caving right now. So, somebody's going to have to blink here at some point.
And you mentioned China, 34% tariffs. They announced it on imports from the U.S. The Dow then plunged to 1,900 points. Ron, this is like unprecedented territory that we are in right now. And as you know, there's a lot of people that are suffering. There's a lot of people that are losing their jobs all over the country. And let's be honest, many of these people are Republicans. Some of these people voted for Donald Trump. What do you think they're in their mind today?
Well, I think of course, the hardcore base is going to stick with him thick and thin. What they're saying is he's doing the migrant deportations. We don't care if the economy goes in the toilet. We just want all the brown people out of the country, So you have that, but that's not, that's only 35% of the country. That's not enough to win an election. So it's all the people in the middle, all those old school conventional Republicans who aren't on social media. They don't watch cable news. They go to Little League games and soccer games, and, they do stuff with their family, and they occasionally check in on politics every now and then. Those are the people attention now and starting to say, what the hell did we do? Why did we put this guy in there? This guy promised, an economic boom, prices were going to be lower. And now all of a sudden he's talking about short-term pain and he's playing golf. And by the way, the dignified transfer of the U.S. Army soldiers who died in Lithuania yesterday was last night. They came in and, Trump blew it off. He got
I want to
on
talk
a
to you
plane
about that.
Florida.
Sorry to interrupt. I want to talk to you about that, Ron, because if you remember when Joe Biden was president, the far right and MAGA supporters were up in arms when Joe Biden took 2 seconds to look at his watch. Do you remember that? That was a huge story. They led it on Fox News and Newsmax and AON and all over the place. But yet Donald Trump decides, as you just mentioned, to skip on these 4 soldiers who lost their lives in Lithuania, and nobody's covering it. You guys are. Nobody's covering it.
Yeah,
He's playing golf with. I talked about it yesterday. He's playing golf with the Saudis, and why is he there? Because of money. Because the Live Golf Tour is paying him millions of dollars to use their golf course. And if Joe Biden did this, Ron, can you imagine? They would have gone nuts.
Yeah. So Biden, as he got older, developed some nervous tics, as some people do, and one of them is his cough. You see him do it. He has no cough, but he does this all the time. And, he developed these little slogans or sayings like, what was one that he used to say all the time? I've forgotten a lot of them now, but there was a lot of like,
malarkey.
There was one that he says, no, it's no joke, right? No joke. It's not a joke,
kidding.
right?
I'm not kidding. Yeah.
And he repeats that. I'm not kidding. I mean, and yes, for those of us who cover politics, it gets very annoying. And one of those nervous tics was checking the watch that he developed. And I noticed it quite a while for several months before that moment happened, where he would check his watch. It was just like a little nervous tic. He would do it in press conferences and interviews. And I kept wondering, why does he? What I said is someone in the White House needs to take his watch away. That's what I said at the time. I said, because he's developed this nervous tic and it makes him always look like he wants to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
This was before he did that at the funeral. I said, take his watch away, because that's the only way that's going to get him to stop this, because at some point this is going to hurt him, because it makes it look like he's bored, but he's not even really checking the time. It was just something he did. And then he did it at the funeral, and I said, oh my God. And they blew it up, and I knew they were going to do that. But again, he wasn't even doing it because he wanted to leave, which is what they were saying. It was just, this was one of his little tics that he did. So, but Trump knew very well. He was invited to this thing. All presidents are always informed, and he didn't go. So, a little bit of firestorm hit, a little controversy. So Hegseth ended up, scrambling and going. He wasn't planning on going, but he went. So somebody would be there. But, in Lithuania, they had like a big, huge thing, like almost like when Kennedy was shot, where they were all lined the streets as the bodies went by on the way to the airport. Thousands of Lithuanians turned out to honor our service members, and our own president wouldn't do it.
Just sickening. Absolutely sickening. I wanted to ask you a little bit about what took place in Wisconsin the other day. You predicted the future very well. People like Cat Turd on social media claiming that the Democrats cheated, right? Isn't that par for the course now, where Democrats win and win handily, by the way? I think it was what, $53 or $54 million that Elon Musk put up. And then you had people like Scott Pressler in the past that were mocking Democrats for putting up, what, $10 million in an election and losing by 11%. And yet Crawford wins by about 10%. With 5 times more money being spent. They seem to be very silent this week.
Well, Pressler moved to Wisconsin for like the last 2 months. He was there full time, and he gets paid partially by Musk. He has been paid by Musk's PAC. So it wasn't just Pressler. I mean, not Pressler, Cat Turd and people like that were. It was all the usual election conspiracy theorists, of course. Every time they lose an election, they say it was stolen. But Elon Musk did it as well. I mean, Roger Stone went on Alex Jones's podcast and said the election was stolen and gave his big conspiracy theory. And who retweeted it? Elon Musk, to his 220 million people, tweeted the clip of the Alex Jones show saying the Wisconsin election was stolen when it wasn't even close. I mean, she won by 10 points. It was not close. And Wisconsin is a key swing state. And so for her to win by 10 points against a guy who spent $53 million, which was an all-time record for a judicial election, Elon Musk spent 20 million himself trying to buy votes. So now what you're seeing is, and I predict this is going to happen too, there are a lot of Republican House members who are going to say, we do not want Musk getting involved in our elections. Please don't come to our district. Stay away. We don't want you, because he's become toxic to them. But he doesn't get it. He has no self-awareness.
None. Zero. I agree. So I want to talk to you a little bit. I know you're friendly with Laura Loomer, right? You've said that. You talk to her from time to time.
Yeah, right.
I wanted to get your take on this meeting that Trump took with her and this NSA director, among some others that lost their job. I mean, it appears as though those are the kinds of people that Donald Trump is listening to, and then just letting people go without doing any investigating, without having any of his other people look into it. Boom, they're fired. What do you make of this? And have you talked to Laura Loomer about this story?
No, I didn't talk to her about it. I could have, very easily, but she's very busy. Right now, she's deposing Bill Maher, who, as we speak, she's taking his deposition, her attorney, in LA, because of Bill Maher told the joke that she was having sex with Donald Trump during the campaign. And so she sued him for defamation. So he is actually giving a deposition right now to Laura Loomer as we speak. So I kind of left her alone because I knew she was busy with that. But that's just a bizarre situation where, these are national senior. One of them was an Air Force general, senior National Security Council members, like at the highest level, that were hired by. One of them was Marco Rubio's chief of staff when he was in the Senate. Marco Rubio. So one is a general. The other was Marco Rubio's right-hand man in the Senate, who worked for him and who went to go work for Waltz. This is who she got fired. Basically, she brought in all this stuff to show that one of them had signed the thing saying the Hunter Biden laptop was probably Russian propaganda. So that was one that she used. But she goes in there to this meeting and you picture the scene. You got Mike Waltz, the national security advisor, and she's going in telling Trump he needs to fire the people Mike Waltz has hired to work for him. And Trump does it. So Mike Waltz, coming fresh off the Signal controversy, now has 3 of his most senior employees fired by Laura Loomer.
Absurd.
That's where we're at right now.
We're living in the twilight zone. Quickly, I wanted to ask you about Bill Maher. I don't always agree with Bill Maher, but apparently he's friends with Kid Rock, and Kid Rock wanted to take him to the White House to meet Donald Trump. Apparently, they had dinner and they were laughing and joking, and everything went well. Are you surprised that Bill Maher did this? Why do you think he did it, and do you have a problem with it?
Oh, I'm not surprised he did it. No, because I'm not a fan of Bill Maher at all. Yeah. Laura Loomer was upset. Really? I can tell you that. She was not happy about that because she was like, Bill Maher hates you. He said all these terrible things. Why is Trump letting him do this? So she was a little bit mad at Kid Rock for that deal, and she was cussing him out. So no, I mean, look, Bill Maher has got this triangulation thing where it's like he's figured out that he gets more traction by criticizing Democrats than he does from Republicans these days. So that's his new thing, apparently. So yeah, I don't really know what's going on there. We just had Gavin Newsom on Midas Touch, and we asked him about, platforming the guys, and he gave a very lengthy, rambling answer. I'm still not, totally satisfied. I hear what he has to say. I'm trying to let it go. I'm still trying to let it go.
I remember
it's hard though.
I must have had you on this show maybe 6 months ago, maybe even less than that. And we were talking about Gavin Newsom, and you were talking about, listen, if he runs for president in 2028, you're going to be his chief of staff. You're going to be right there. You're going to do everything and anything you can.
All in, man.
You were right. You were all in. And I'm kind of take your side on this one, where I'm extremely disappointed with what he's been doing lately, particularly not the pushback on some of these idiots like Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon, right? So you haven't come around. That's fair to say, right?
I mean, I'm like not totally, going to write the guy off at this point, but yeah, I mean, I've listened. His explanations to me have made it worse because, his explanations to me are like, almost like attacking the people who are criticizing him, like me, saying like, oh, you're closed-minded, you won't listen to the other side, you won't talk to the other side. It's like, dude, I talk to the other side more than you do. I listen to them I listen to more Fox News than Gavin Newsom will in his entire life. Okay. I was a Republican for 30 years. So I'm not afraid of talking or listening to the other side. That's not the point. And so when he says that, the left is intolerant, they won't talk to the other side. It's like, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
I would talk to Charlie Kirk, but I wouldn't have him on my podcast, and I wouldn't go on his podcast. If Charlie Kirk invited me to come on, I would not do it. Why would I do that? Like,
or Ron,
I don't understand it. I still don't understand it. I'm like, what did he learn from that discussion that he didn't already know going into it? That,
what the worst point, besides not the pushback, Ron, what really irked me was, Gavin was talking about how his son was a fan of Charlie Kirk. And I'm thinking to myself, you're a father. Wouldn't you lecture your son on who this man really is? Exactly. And they were laughing and joking about it. And I'm thinking to myself, Governor, what are you doing? He did the same crap with Steve Bannon. Maybe his son's not a fan of Steve Bannon, but at the end of that interview, he was doing nothing but praising Steve Bannon. I think we both could agree. These are not good people. These are bad people. Forget about it. Yeah.
I could have sent him 10 clips of Charlie Kirk that I have and said, this is who this guy is. And each one is more repulsive and revolting than the next. And I would have just said, hey, rather than have Charlie Kirk on your show, why don't you play these 10 clips for your son and ask him what he thinks about these? Because they're pretty bad. And of course, Bannon, of course, same thing. I mean, Bannon was the mastermind behind January 6th. He was the architect of the Green Bay sweep. That's why him and Navarro went to prison. So, because they refused to testify about it. So, but of course, Newsom didn't bring any of that stuff up. So,
which he should have.
I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm sure he's still the front runner and everything, but I hope that I would have hoped that he would have listened to our criticisms and heard what we had to say, but instead he pushed back on us and seems to be very more open-minded to MAGA. So I'm not really sure what the game plan is here. He talks about wanting to build his podcast. I thought he wanted to be president, but maybe, getting podcast views is more important right now.
Yeah, which I think is a huge mistake, not just for him politically, but for the country just in general. Ron, before I let you go, what newsletter you got working on in your newsletter today? What do you got working on for everybody?
I try to hit like so many different topics in my newsletter, 40 or 50, but it's like yesterday's was just all about these tariffs and the economy. And I'm looking at everything I've compiled for today, and it's pretty much the same thing. And I kind of feel like my instruction to Democrats everywhere is no matter what Trump throws out there over the next week, and he's going to throw out all kinds of crazy shit to distract from what's happening to the economy right now. He is going to roll out some wild stuff this week. No matter what he does, do not let it distract us. I am not going to allow him to divert my attention away onto some other topic. We have to focus on the stock market, the economy, people losing their jobs, losing their savings, losing their retirement, and not fall for any shiny objects right now.
That's great advice. That's what we got to do. Ron Filipkowski, you guys are great at Midas Touch. Always appreciate your time, my friend. We'll catch up with you next week and keep up the great work. We appreciate you. Thanks, Ron.
Okay, man. Have a good show.
All right. Thanks, Ron. There you go. Ron Filipkowski, everybody. Isn't he the best? Ron's one of my favorites. As I always say, a great follow on social media. I mean, really, whatever's happening in the world, Ron Filipkowski is the guy that I want to talk to. That man knows his stuff. He's great. Please sign up for his newsletter because it's fantastic. And I will be the first one to admit, somebody said in the chat, Ron for president. Yeah, he's got my vote if he ever ran for president. But he literally helps me with this show in a lot of different ways, with what he does and what he covers. He really is great. All right. So as I mentioned, right, the S&P 500 fell 4% yesterday. The Dow down 1,900 points today. Why? Well, because China has implemented 34% tariffs on imports from the U.S. It's very simple, right? They're not withholding and taking a couple steps back and saying, oh, we better negotiate with Donald Trump, the art of the deal. No, they're saying right back in your face, if you're going to make us suffer, we are going to make you suffer. And yes, the American people are suffering. Their 401ks are going down the toilet. The stocks have plunged. If you have money in the stock market, bless your heart, you're in a lot of trouble. And so many people have lost work. So many people have lost their jobs. And while all this is going on, as I mentioned before, Donald Trump is at Doral Golf Course. He had dinner with the Saudis and the Live Golf Tour last night at a dinner. Instead of honoring those 4 soldiers who died in Lithuania, he decided to be mingling with a bunch of billionaire Saudis and playing golf today. Working hard for the American people. I hope all of you are really happy on who you voted for. But here's a guy that I want to talk about. Listen, you could say what you want about Justin Trudeau, okay? But this guy, Carney, is an economist and former central bank governor. He understands what these tariffs are going to do for Canada. He understands what it's going to do for America. He understands what it's going to do throughout the world. I want you to listen to a real professional and an expert talking about the damage that Donald Trump is doing.
The global economy is fundamentally different today than it was yesterday. The system of global trade anchored on the United States that Canada has relied on since the end of the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for our country for decades, is over. Our old relationship of steadily deepening integration with the United States is over. The 80-year period when the United States embraced the mantle of global economic leadership, when it forged alliances rooted in trust and mutual respect, and championed the free and open exchange of goods and services, is over. Well, this is a tragedy. It is also the new reality. We must respond with both purpose and force. We are a free, sovereign, and ambitious country. We are masters in our own home.
If that is not riveting, and you don't take what Carney says to heart, then I don't know what to tell you. Do you hear the seriousness in his voice? If that doesn't concern you, I don't know what will. This is an extremely intelligent man, very educated. He knows what he's talking about. And he knows the damage that Donald Trump is doing, not just to his country, not just to the United States, but to the world. And how is Fox News handling this? Well, I will say that leading on a lot of shows yesterday, including Laura Ingraham, and it was played on the Sean Hannity show yesterday. It was on Newsmax. They didn't really want to talk a lot about how the stock market has crashed, but they were leading with apparently there's a trans athlete fencer that was allowed to compete against a woman, and I guess the teenager took a knee, and that was their big story today. They didn't really want to talk about the fact that people are losing their jobs all over the country, that the economy is in shambles. The Dow was down 1,900 points. The S&P 500 fell 4% yesterday. Things are getting worse for the American people. All over the country, people are struggling while Donald Trump is playing golf with the Saudis. No, but listen to how Fox News covered this. Crashing the market, by the way, when you're also trying to get thousands of federal employees to retire, certainly suggests to me that this is not a very well thought out plan. But listen to Roberts on Fox News. The market goes up, the market goes down. Boy, it's interesting how nonchalant these mega morons are when the market crashes under Donald Trump. But, they get a hangnail. They blame it on Joe Biden. Have a listen to this.
The market goes up, the market goes down. It always has. It likely always will. Peter, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We are going to chew this over a lot, though, in the next couple of hours. Sandy.
My response to that is that there are people who need to get out at a certain given moment. And if the market is down in that moment, it could be very harmful to somebody's 401k. So the timing of the market is everything, when it is up and when it is down.
My financial planner has said, don't suddenly get out. I mean, even if you're about to retire, don't get out. Leave a certain part of your portfolio in the stock market because it'll go back up again at some point. I mean, when you take a look at the ups and downs It's had some pretty big swoons, but in the end, it's higher than it was before. So
historically, it does only go up. That is true, but it has had its moments. So right now,
I got $1. I got $1 because
Okay.
I'm a big wagerer here. I
You're
got
a betting
$1
man.
that this time next year it'll be 50,000 or above.
50,000 or above on the Dow. You're talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be the NASDAQ.
I will not bet against you or with you. So there are some of those like technical levels that we're getting close to them. I mean, the S&P 500 is down 4%. So the Dow is down the least. It's down 3%. The S&P 500 down 4%. These are huge moves for the equity markets. And the NASDAQ, which is those technology stocks, they're hit the hardest. They're down 5% right now, the NASDAQ.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Did you just hear, ladies and gentlemen, how cavalier Fox News anchors are covering this story? Unbelievable. Can you imagine if this happened under Joe Biden? Do you think they would have the same attitude? I think not. It's pathetic. And then we go to the blonde bimbo, Kayleigh McEnany. That's right. The former White House press secretary, who is making out Donald Trump to be this brilliant man for these tariffs. And listen, nothing to see here. This man knows what he's doing, and I trust him. How many women with any bit of moral dignity and character would say that they trust a guy who's a liable sexual abuser, who literally has had 25 women that have come forward that have said that he abused them, including his ex-wife? But Kayleigh McEnany on Fox News wearing the Donald Trump knee pads. Have a listen to what she has to say.
Oh, Kayleigh, you had some things to say about this.
Yes. So you heard the White House there saying, this is not part of a negotiation. This is here to stay. I firmly believe that is posturing. This is the great deal maker, the great negotiator. And he's someone who understands how to get to a good end result. And with that in mind, you set the posture that this isn't going away. These are here to stay. You've had 70 years to negotiate. That's what I think this is. The $6 trillion question, as Politico put it, is what's next. I heard Scott Bessent say, look, we have less to lose than these other countries. If in economic textbooks, we are the deficit country. They are the surplus country. The surplus country has more to lose. What that says to me is he knows these other countries have something to lose. In other words, they're going to be pushed to the negotiating table. Commerce Secretary Carlos Gutierrez for the Bush administration said, I would assume that these will not be in place in a month, 2 months, definitely not the back half of the year. Yeah. I'm in the camp. It's a big negotiation. So is this a negotiation is my first question. Number two, we have no doubt it's historic. They went big. Stephen Miller said this is the biggest reset of global trade relations in the last 100 years. He said it's the greatest reshoring of American manufacturing in 100 years. I think it's more like 131 years, because when the economic analysts look at it, these tariffs are bigger than Smoot-Hawley from the 1930s. These are enormous. They're historic. They're going to reset the American economy. We'll see what happens, but I would not be surprised if the great negotiator has an end game in mind here.
Absolutely unbelievable. It's posturing, the blonde bimbo says. Unbelievable. Milquetoast Kayleigh, how can you go on national television and look at people in the camera and your listeners, your viewership, and say, this is just posturing? There are people that have lost their jobs across the country. What would you say to them and their families? Oh, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. It's just posturing. People that are losing their 401ks, don't worry. It's just posturing. People that have lost tons of money in the stock market, don't worry, it's just posturing. No, while Donald Trump while the fat lard is swinging a golf club at his golf course Doral in Florida and mingling with billionaire Saudis, Kayleigh McEnany has the balls. Well, we'll have to talk to Nancy Mace about that one to see if that's true or not, to say that it's just posturing. What a ditz. But there are some Republicans out there, and there are some people with some moral ground, at least on this issue. Listen, I am not a Rand Paul fan. I have never liked him. I think he's an imbecile. I remember when he got COVID, knowingly, he went into the House chambers and he used the workout facility, knowing that he was infected. I think he is a scumbag. But a squirrel finds a nut once in a while. Once in a while, a squirrel finds a nut. And yes, that's right. This is Rand Paul understanding that these tariffs are going to hurt the nation and the world.
Tariffs have also led to political decimation. When McKinley most famously put tariffs on in 1890, they lost 50% of their seats in the next election. When Hot Smoothie put on their tariff in the early 1930s, we lost the House and the Senate for 60 years. So they're not only bad economically, they're bad politically.
I cannot believe I'm agreeing with Rand Paul. I cannot believe that Rand Paul, when Rand Paul is the voice of reason, you know something is wrong. That is for sure. And then there goes Scott Bessent, right, who was asked some very simple questions about tariffs. Scott Bessent, is this going to hurt the economy? You know, what do you say to the European Union? Have they spoken to Donald Trump? Have there been messages put in place? Is there negotiating happening? Have a listen to what Scott Bessent has to say about this.
Has the European Union, has China, has India, have these countries reached out?
Well, they've all reached out, but it's going to be up to President Trump to see what he wants to do. I think the mindset might be to let things settle for a while. Their tariffs or non-tariff barriers have been on a long time, so we'll see where it goes from here.
Unbelievable. Well, yeah, they have talked, but, you know, we just need to let this sit for a while. Yeah. Let's let the country and the economy go into shambles. Yeah, let's just let it sit for a while. That's a great idea. So let me get this right. You have Donald Trump, who is begging for a buyout because isn't this so true to who Donald Trump is? Anytime he F's up, anytime he makes a mistake, he wants to get bailed out. I think I used the term buyout. I meant bailout. He wants a bailout or a buyout. His entire life, he's never taken responsibility for anything. And now maybe as he woke up this morning, before he put his 8 layers of orange makeup on, he might have said to himself, ooh, this is a bad idea. I think we might need a bailout. It's not going to happen, Mr. President. You put us all in this situation. You put the country in this situation. We are all suffering because of you, and you don't care. Because if you did care, you wouldn't have been on a plane yesterday on Air Force One playing golf and hanging out with a bunch of Saudis that paid your son-in-law $2.1 billion. Yeah, we remember that. The MAGA Republicans don't remember that. Maybe they have Alzheimer's. Maybe they're in the bunker. But I remember it. I remember you didn't send Mike Pompeo over to the Saudis a few months before you left office. No, you sent Jared Kushner. So that imbecile could get a $2.1 billion check. And meanwhile, your daughter was getting about $600 million in Chinese trademarks. Oh, yeah, I didn't forget about that. This is who Donald Trump is. When 4 soldiers lose their lives in Lithuania, Donald Trump doesn't go to honor those soldiers. No, he goes to play golf. And when the country is on fire in a bad way and people are losing their jobs and the Dow is down 1,900 points, Donald Trump is on the golf course today. Why? He's peddling to the Saudis and the Live Golf Tour because they paid him millions of dollars to play at Doral Golf Course. That's why. This is who Donald Trump is. And then when he screws up, either he doesn't care or he wants somebody to bail him out. It's not going to happen this time. And unfortunately, the American people are the ones that are suffering for it. That's right. American consumers like you and me. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to take your phone calls at 702-221-7283. Again, that number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, that number is 702-221-7283. And my question to you is, this is now day 2 of this, where the country has suffered, and people all over the world, quite frankly, are suffering. How do you feel right now? Where do you see this thing going? Or do you agree with Donald Trump and you think these tariffs are a good idea and it's a negotiating tactic? Or Kayleigh McEnany, who or the Lush on Fox News, Judge Janine the Lush, who said, I really don't care about my 401k. I trust this man. You stupid imbecile. This portion of the program is brought to you by Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, home of the $20 ribeye steak. It is delicious. They haven't raised the price in over 8 years. We love Jackson's, and they have great promotions, great gaming promotions, great place to catch a Vegas Golden Knights hockey game, great food, great atmosphere, and as I mentioned, home of the $20 ribeye steak with a side and vegetables. I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. Check them out. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. All right, we're also going to go to the YouTube Super Chat when we come back. Check out the website, pushingthelimits.live. Your phone calls are next. Again, that number is 702 702-221-7283. 702-221-SAVE, even though I can't save all of you MAGA Republicans. We'll take a quick break. Your calls are coming up next in the most interactive show in not just Las Vegas, but I would say across the country. Your calls are next in 90 seconds. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. The very awesome Nicole Mitchell will be joining us later on this hour. I do want to go to the YouTube Super Chat first, if I may, and read a couple of those YouTube Super Chats. Again, with a minimum of $25 Super Chat donation, you're going to get automatically entered into a chance to win a chance to do a segment with me on PTL. We're doing that on a monthly basis. Thank you, Randall, for your donation. Who says, breaking news, the Penguins have responded with 100% retaliatory tariffs back on the USA. Why would he even do that? The incompetence of these people. Those poor Penguins, they're going to have to deal with those tariffs. I really feel sorry for them. It's really, really sad. LVZ, thank you for your donation. Says, turns out he wanted to make America great after all. The Depression was great. Yeah, I think you're right. Listen, as I've said, and by the way, any of your YouTube Super Chat donations, we will read your questions and comments live on the air. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It was never about making America great again. It was about making America white again, and it was about making Donald Trump great again, in his own mind. That's what this was all about, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we got full phone lines right now. So I guess my recommendation to you is when we end a call, that's the best time to call in, because then we have a phone line free. But our phone lines are full right now, of course. All right, let's go to Steve. Steve is calling from New Orleans. Hey, Steve, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. First thing I wanted to say is, I've been listening to your show for a while, and scrolling on Twitter, and I saw, or this a couple weeks ago, I saw you on Piers Morgan, and I do want to say I don't agree with you on everything, but I'll give credit where credit's due. I'm happy to see your show grow. I'll That's all I'll start with.
Well, that's very kind of you, Steve. I do appreciate that. So let's have a conversation. What is it that you really disagree with me on? Let's try to let me try to figure out why you disagree with me on. What would be the biggest topic where you say, man, I really disagree with Brian on that?
I'd say, I guess we can keep it to today's show.
Sure.
Mainly, I guess what you were saying about Kayleigh McEnany, what you were saying, and the clip you played, to me, based on how we've seen these tariffs being used, in which they're threatened and imposed for a couple days or two, and then taken off to get what you want as a negotiating tactic, it just doesn't seem like there's too much permanence.
Okay, but
now
Steve,
I do see
Steve, that hasn't happened. Now, if that does happen, and then all of a sudden it's used as a negotiating tactic and they cave, then that would be one thing. Then that would be a fair conversation to have. But Steve, that has not happened yet, and I think you're making a gross assumption. So what do you?
But it has though.
What
it has with Canada and Mexico.
China just put 34% tariffs on imports from the USA, and the Dow is down 1,900 points. So I don't think today is a day to jump on a trampoline and be full of joy. There's a lot of people across the country.
Oh no, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it is.
Okay.
I'm not saying it is a day to jump on it. But I also think it doesn't. Like, yes, while the Dow is down, yes, while all this stuff is down, and there's objective, we're seeing these numbers. I think it's also fair to say that, hey, this just happened. And I think that all the threats that Trump was making, maybe this is a way of showing our trade partners, like, hey, maybe he's serious about this.
Okay,
because at the end of the day, me and you can agree that bringing business and prosperity back to the United States is a good thing.
Did he bring business and prosperity back to the United States when he was president in 2016 to 2020, when he got us $8.3 trillion in debt, and we were all locked in our homes and our apartments, and almost the entire country was shut down?
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about now, Brian.
Okay, I'm happy. I'm happy to talk about now. But the reason why
we're talking about these tariffs.
I'm happy to talk about now. But there is also some context to why I do not believe Donald Trump, and there is context as to why I think he's full of crap. And, it is interesting because we can disagree on my opinion of what Kayleigh McEnany said, but I'm wondering to get your thoughts on this when the country is in crisis. And yes, I say crisis because a lot of people have lost their jobs, their 401ks have plummeted, their stocks have plummeted. Donald Trump decided to go to his golf course at Doral and hang out with a bunch of Saudis while we were supposed to be, or at least the president was supposed to be honoring 4 American soldiers that lost their lives in Lithuania. So do you disagree with me on that? Do you think that's proper behavior for the president of the United States to be hanging out with a bunch of Saudis on the Live Golf Tour on his golf course when the country is, there's a lot of stress going on? You can agree or disagree with the tariffs, and he's not honoring these 4 soldiers. I want to know, Steve, because you sound like a nice guy. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think obviously the president should honor those soldiers, but I think there's a big difference between where a lot of Republicans will say with Biden and the soldiers who were killed in Afghanistan.
Okay, so that's
versus these ones.
That's a policy. Okay, so hold on. That's a policy. John Bolton, who once worked in Donald Trump's administration, said his withdrawal of Afghanistan was virtually identical. And if you want to go back to Afghanistan, which I believe is a pivot, with all due respect, I will say that it was Donald Trump.
No, I'm
hold
not.
on. Okay, but hold on. No,
I was trying to get to my point.
I'm sorry, but let me just finish mine and then I'll shut up for you. Okay, fair enough. So Donald Trump. Thank you. Donald Trump is the one who released 5,000 Taliban terrorists. Okay. And Donald Trump, Obama never negotiated with those people. He also invited them to Camp David. So if we're going to go back to Afghanistan, I'm happy to do that with you. But you didn't want me talking about the past. Now you're talking about the past, and I'm talking about the president. Donald Trump, I don't know if you did this, but there were a lot of MAGA Republicans that were upset because Joe Biden looked at his watch. Donald Trump decided not to go to honor these soldiers, and he was hanging out with a bunch of Saudis. You have to not be okay with that, Steve.
I also think that it's not for every soldier that comes home. Like, obviously we respect our soldiers. I don't think that Trump needed to be there for these soldiers who died in a training accident.
So let's go with that. Let's go with that. Steve, I
just don't think save me the fake outrage.
Okay,
save
so
me
Steve,
the fake outrage.
Okay, so first of all, nothing fake what I say on this show, number one. Number two, you're saying he didn't need to be there to honor the soldiers. Okay. But you're claiming he needed to be at Doral Golf Course and hanging out with Saudi nationals and a bunch of Saudis who paid Donald Trump for the Live Golf Course to be at Doral. You think he needed to be there? You think that was a higher priority than honoring 4 soldiers who died in Lithuania?
Do you think it's possible that maybe deals get done on golf courses.
So you think it was a deal? Yeah, I'll tell you what the deal was.
Let's not be naive. Brian.
No, not being naive. I'm going to give you facts. I'll tell you what the deal was. The Saudis paid him and paid the golf course, which he owns, millions of dollars for the Live Golf Tour to be there. That is why he was there, because he enriched himself by being there instead of being the president of the United States and honoring soldiers that lost their lives. Why is it that you're making excuses for his behavior and you're saying, well, a president doesn't have to be at every single place where a soldier loses their life, but yet you're making excuses for him and making an assumption, which, by the way, is not true. There's no evidence to prove that. Oh, well, he was negotiating with what? So they could give Jared Kushner another $2.1 billion?
I think it's possible that, based on my understanding of how deals get done on golf courses, I'm just trying to give the benefit of the doubt. But I also just think it's a fake. I think it's a fake outrage that these soldiers who died in a training accident. No one knew about that until 2 days ago. No one knew about that.
Do you think it was fake?
And I'm sure this was scheduled way before then.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So save me the fake outrage.
It's not fake. It's not fake. But if you want to talk about fake outrage, I will gladly have this conversation with you.
How'd the soldiers
Hold on. Let me finish. You just mentioned the term fake outrage. Is it fake outrage when MAGA Republicans talk about critical race theory? Is it fake outrage when MAGA Republicans talk about drag queen? Hold on. Now you're interrupting. Let me finish. You're the one who brought up fake outrage. No. Okay. Well, it's my show and not yours, so I can do whatever I want, Steve, but I'm not going to hang up on you. Okay? You mentioned fake outrage. How dare you? You think it's fake outrage for anybody in this country to say the president of the United States should have been there to honor those 4 soldiers who paid the ultimate price and lost their lives. But you want to talk about fake outrage when you are the guys who constantly talk about transgenders. You are the guy with, by the way, 14 trans athletes in Division I college sports. You are the guys who talk about banning books. You are the guys who continue to lie about the 2020 election. The guy who you support still is the only president in American history who has not conceded an election. You are the people who yesterday on far right-wing outlets were talking about a trans athlete that was fencing, and you want to talk to me about fake outrage? No, sir. It is not fake outrage when I say the president of the United States should be better put honoring soldiers who lost their lives than hanging out with a bunch of Saudis on his golf course, which the Live Tour paid. That is not fake outrage. And then your only excuse is, besides calling it fake outrage, which, by the way, it's not, because I was just as upset when Donald Trump said he didn't respect brave men, didn't respect John McCain because he was captured, the suckers and losers comment, but I'm sure you'll give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. So I'm wondering, sir, why do you give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt? What has he done in his life honorably and truthfully that would make you give Donald Trump, a 34-count felon and a liable abuser, a man who continues to lie about the 2020 election, a man who's had 30,000 lies when he was president? I'm wondering, what has he done to make you want to trust him and, quote, give him the benefit of the doubt? Go ahead, Steve.
God, you're a piece of work.
I'm sorry if you don't like facts, Steve, but please answer my question.
As far as the tariffs, we've seen them work to get other things.
Like what? Give me an example. So let's go with that.
Border security.
Okay, so let's talk about
Border
that.
security.
I'm so happy you brought that up, Steve, because you don't know what you're talking about. That's okay. I know I'm a piece of work because I actually educate you and give you facts. But you're the one who brought that up, so let's go with that. So Canada said they were putting $1.2 billion for border security. Steve, are you aware that Justin Trudeau offered that back in December and they said it would take a few months to implement? Are you aware of that the president of Mexico had an average of around 15,000 troops at the border under the Biden administration? You could look that up if you don't believe me. And she offered Donald Trump 10,000. So please tell me what Mexico, my question to you, since you talked about border security, please tell me what Mexico and Canada are doing for border security that wasn't done under the Biden administration. Go.
Brian, clearly they're doing something.
Tell me.
Those tariffs.
Tell me. I'm asking you. Be specific.
The stuff you mentioned. The additional resources.
It's not additional resources. I'm going to say it again. I need you to get the MAGA wax out of your ears and listen. Listen, Justin Trudeau announced before the tariffs were implemented or threatened, when Joe Biden, was still president of the United States back in December. He announced $1.2 billion in border security. That had nothing to do with the tariffs. The president of Mexico offered Donald Trump 10,000 troops at the border. There were 15,000 troops at the border most of the time in 4 years when Joe Biden was president. So my question still stands, which you haven't answered. How have his tariffs in Mexico and Canada helped us? What have they offered us? Go ahead, sir.
If you let me finish, I will gladly tell you.
I'm waiting.
I will gladly.
I'm waiting.
You're saying it was already there. If it was already there, why immediately after the tariffs did Canada and Mexico both address the issue?
And what did they offer?
Hey, we need to do more.
And what did they do? Tell me. Tell me. Be specific.
Increased troops there.
They didn't. Who's they? Mexico? Who's they? Be specific. Who's they?
They, them.
Who? Mexico, Canada? Tell me, which one?
Both of them. Dude,
no, they didn't.
Come on,
no, they
now.
didn't. No,
Come
no.
on.
See, you say something and you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I'm going to repeat this now for a third time. During Biden's administration, Mexico had an average of around 15,000 troops at the border, including when Joe Biden left office. The president of Mexico offered Trump 10,000. Can you please help me out? Because I'm not really good with math, Steve. I think you might be able to help me out with this. What is 15,000 minus 10,000? Can you help me? Because I'm being serious. I'm not really good with math. Maybe I'm wrong. You might be right. Steve, what's 15,000 minus 10,000? Can you just answer that for me, please?
I don't know. Why don't you?
You don't know. Okay, I'll answer it. I'll answer it for you. Go ahead and pot him down. I'll answer it for you. 15,000 minus 10,000 is 5,000. That means the Mexican president offered 5,000 less troops that were under Joe Biden, which means they haven't offered any extra troops. Same thing with Canada. Canada offered $1.2 billion in border security. $1.2 billion in border security. The problem is that was offered back in December when Joe Biden was still president. So I'm going to ask you one more time, if you can please answer my question for me. What specifically has Mexico and Canada given the United States of America because of these tariffs? Please answer the question, because you're the one making the claim that we got all this stuff from Mexico and Canada and these tariffs are working and they're caving. Tell me what we got.
So, okay, on February 3rd.
Oh, you finally Googled.
Trudeau
Thank
tweeted.
you. Thank you for Googling. I appreciate that.
No, because.
Go ahead. I'm glad you Googled.
Arguing with other idiots.
Go ahead. I think we know who.
I mean, is it bad to do research?
Is it bad
to do research?
Well, here's the thing. I'll answer your question. What it's bad to do is make a claim when you don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do a Google search. You're making a claim. You don't know what you're talking about. And then you're finding a tweet from Trudeau. You're scrambling for facts because you don't have any. So to answer your question, yes, it is not bad to do research, but it's bad to call a radio show and make a claim when you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Your claim is that these plans were already in place before Trump got in, right? That is your claim.
It's not a claim. Trudeau made the announcement back in December.
Oh, President Blackface tweeted, Canada is making new.
Wait. What did you just say? What did you call him?
I said President Blackface.
Okay, so you're not going to talk like that on this show. Okay, you're an idiot. Okay, you are an idiot. Would you call Donald Trump President Orange Face? Would you call Donald Trump an adjudicator?
Yeah.
Oh, you would? Okay. It's funny because I haven't heard you. Oh, so what have you said about Donald Trump in a negative fashion? Because you obviously voted for Donald Trump.
We're talking about tariffs.
No.
Oh,
you called him President. Cut him down
host?
again, this moron. You called him President Blackface. How can I have a serious conversation with you when you refer to Trudeau as President Blackface? And then you take your little Trump fingers and you go on Google and you try to find a tweet, and that's going to make your argument for you? Sir, you have embarrassed yourself. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Literally, you have no idea what you're talking about. In this entire 10 to 15-minute conversation, you claim that the tariffs have given us so much from Canada and Mexico. You couldn't name one thing as I fact-checked you because you don't know what you're talking about. Then you try to make a disparaging remark about Trudeau, who has more intelligence in his pinky than you have in your entire body, and you have no facts. So listen, sir, go ahead and keep doing your research, but here's my recommendations for you. Next time you call into a radio show and you claim something to be true, do your research first and don't scramble to go on Google and try to find some tweet that Trudeau put out, which nobody cares about. Okay? Okay, orange face? Have a nice day, you imbecile. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. I cannot believe he called Trudeau President Blackface. What an idiot. All right, let's go to Rob. Rob is calling out of Washington. Hey, Rob, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? How are you?
Good.
So I'm not trying to misrepresent your point. So I think I heard you, it wasn't on today's show, but it was sometime earlier. You referred to abortion as it was like either a women's issue or it was like Republicans trying to take women's rights away. Can you just kind of succinctly summarize your position on abortion so I'm not misrepresenting it?
Okay, it's a little bit off topic, but since you're being respectful, I will still respond to it, even though that's not really what we're talking about today. But I will still answer your question, Rob, okay? So,
yeah,
because of Donald Trump, Roe versus Wade was overturned. How? Because he put those conservative judges in place knowing it, and he brags about it today. Because Roe versus Wade was overturned, in half the states in this country, a woman cannot get an abortion. In some of those states, no exceptions. It's very, very simple. My position on abortion has never changed, and I don't believe it ever will. I believe in a woman's right to choose. I'm okay with a 3-month or a 4-month, stand on that. I'm totally okay with meeting somewhere in the middle. I want to give women the right to choose. The fact of the matter is that geography should have no bearing over a woman's body. And in some states in this country, not only can a woman, it's illegal for somebody to have an abortion, but if they're the victim of incest, for example, they have to travel to another state to get an abortion. It's disgusting. It's despicable. And guess what? 6 out of 10 Americans, Republican and Democrat, believe in a woman's right to choose. These people are right-wing evangelical nutcases. They want to tell everybody what to do with their bodies. They want to tell everybody what they should believe. They're anti-gay. They're anti-trans. I am sick of these people, and I am tired of it. Separation between church and state, which is something that so many on the MAGA right cannot comprehend. I don't care what you do in your own home. I don't care if you want to have 100 babies. If Ben Shapiro wants to have 100 kids, I don't want him to have 100 kids because we'll probably have 100 idiots in this country, but that's his right. I don't want to tell other people what to do with their bodies. And it is so interesting, isn't it, Rob? And I don't mean to yell at you. I'm just frustrated at the MAGA right, okay? It's interesting that when it comes to vaccines, my body, my choice. But when it comes to a woman's body, all of a sudden they want the government to be involved because they are hypocrites and they are morons. So I hope I answered your question, Rob.
Yeah, no. So you said that at the 3 to 4 month range, you'd be open to it being restricted.
I would be open. I would absolutely be open to that conversation. Yes, I would.
Okay. What exactly changes at 3 to 4 months that I guess wouldn't be present at a month?
So you want to so you want to get into the weeds on 3 months, 4 months? What's considered to be a human being and what's not? I gave you my position. That's how I feel. I don't want to go into the weeds with you into 30 minutes and talking about, well, what's a human being and what's not. You're entitled to your opinions and I'm entitled to mine. But I'm going to assume you are anti-abortion. Is that a fair characterization? And I'll tell you, okay, fair enough. You're entitled to that, sir. But here is a fundamental difference, in my opinion, with respect, Rob, between you and me. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Don't tell me what to do. If you don't believe in abortion, then don't have an abortion. Don't have your girlfriend or wife have an abortion. I'm totally okay with that. Live your life. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to do. People like you, with respect, want to tell other people what to do. Live your life and leave people alone. I'm tired of people telling other people what to do. I don't want to be told what I can eat or what I can't eat, okay? I don't want to be told what I can or can't do with my family. I don't want people in this country that are gay to be told that they can't get married. I don't want people to be told what they can or can't do. That is the fundamental difference. And without getting into the weeds on what you think is a human being, and you're entitled to your opinion, Rob, I respect it. You're entitled to your opinion, but I'm not telling you what to do. Why do you want to tell me what to do? With respect.
I mean, isn't that a little similar to, for example, if I go out and shoot someone to death and then you say, or I guess
you are comparing a crime that is committed to somebody for 50 years. Roe versus Wade wasn't overturned. It is your opinion that if a woman gets an abortion, you believe it to be the word that you just stated. I do not. It is a fundamental difference of an opinion, and it is not a fact. There are some doctors that agree with you. There are some doctors that agree with me. There are some scientists that might agree with you. There are scientists that agree with me, but make no mistake about it. You are in the minority. Doesn't mean you're not entitled to your opinion. Doesn't mean I don't respect your opinion. Live your life. Do what you want to do. 6 out of 10 Americans are on my side. I am not in the minority here. Let's be very clear on that.
So you're saying that if 6 out of 10 Americans thought that, killing someone,
They don't.
born...
Okay, stop. That's a stupid statement because they don't. You keep saying, what about this? What about that? Okay, stop saying that. 6 out of 10 Americans do not believe in taking somebody's life with a weapon or assault. There are laws put in place so that can't happen. And the idea that you would compare the two, again, it goes back to what I said earlier. You are comparing a homicide to a woman getting an abortion. I fundamentally disagree with you. I don't want to tell you what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I appreciate the call, Rob. Have a nice day. I'm not sure what that has to do with tariffs, but I do appreciate the call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Roy. Roy is next up on PTL. What's up, Roy?
Hi, Brian. How are you today?
Hey, good. What's on your mind, Roy?
Boy, those last 2 calls can give you a headache.
I try to give them a chance, man. I try to make the same points over and over, and it just doesn't register.
You can't fix stupid, Brian. You know that. One of the things that's interesting about these tariffs, which of course is a completely moronic idea, is the idea of bringing businesses and manufacturing back. The reason it was sent out in the first place was that businesses couldn't afford the very high cost of labor here. And don't think for a minute that if businesses come back here, that's going to change. And everything today is being automated. This is not going to create high-paying, good jobs, even if they would do it. And these businesses are too smart. They know that he could change his mind in a week, in a month,
right.
And in 4 years, when the Democrats take over again, they can kill all these tariffs anyway. It's a joke.
It is a joke. And he said today, well, let's give it a year and a half or 2 years. He actually said that. Is there anybody in this country that's okay with that? There's a reason why these tariffs are unprecedented and they haven't happened in our lifetime, because it doesn't work. That's why it doesn't work.
You know, this guy who everyone thinks is a businessman with his 6 bankruptcies, he's looking to make the United States lucky number 7.
You're right. You're right, Roy. I agree with you, my friend. Great call. I'm with you 150%. Why so many Americans are not waking up to this? Some are, but why most Americans are not waking up to this, it is beyond me. I just don't get it. All right, let's go to Stacy, who's calling in Las Vegas, I believe. Hey, Stacy, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. I just want to make something a little bit lighter in the conversation. You know how they called Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney a rhino?
Yes.
Republican in name. Well, I think that Donald Trump isn't POTUS. He's a Pino. President in name only.
I like that one. I think that's a real good one. What do you make of the fact, Stacy, that on the second day where the Dow, I've heard 1,900, I've heard 2,200, the Dow has crashed, the market has crashed, stocks are down, 401ks are down, people are losing their jobs, and Donald Trump is bragging about a $5 million gold card and he's playing golf at Doral. I mean, what do you make of that?
I just think that he's all for himself. He does not care anything about the people in this country.
That's for sure.
He's so blinded by money and fame. He's still living in his reality TV show, I think.
I agree. I agree. I think he's blinded by money, just like any woman would be blinded when he takes his shirt off. That's what I think. That's just my personal opinion. Stacy, it's good to hear from you. Thank you. I love my Las Vegas locals, and it's good to hear from you, Stacy. I appreciate you. Let's go to Denise now, who's calling, I believe, out of Illinois. Denise, am I right? When Donald Trump takes his shirt off, women are blinded. Is that fair?
And throwing up.
Amen. Amen to that. What's on your mind, Denise?
Well, you know, you're talking about the tariffs and everything, and, you know, what I don't get is I work with a lot of folks that are Republicans, and when Trump was in office the first time, you know, they're all saying that they were all, you know, I'm pointing out even then, this guy wants to be a dictator. There's no question about it. He's a psychopath. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, but the 401k. So yesterday I'm at work, I'm like, how's that 401k working for you now?
Yeah.
And they still stand by this guy. They still stand by him. You know, and I've tried to have conversations with my fellow coworkers that voice a reason, and I'm not as knowledgeable about you are as everything, and I appreciate you teaching me a whole lot. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you folks stand on this, but you're still backing him despite the fact that everything that you said that you liked about him, he is not doing for you now.
Right.
What's he doing for you now? He's not going to do anything for you now. The tariffs, he's trying to run this country seemingly like it's his own personal business.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way. It's a world economy.
Yep.
If you want to run a couple of tariffs here and there, do a couple of things, try to manipulate the market a little bit to get us a little bit of help, great. But you don't crash the whole barn down and run through it like you're Trumpzilla, eating and consuming everything in your path.
Yeah. Hey, are you watching on YouTube, by the way?
I am.
Okay. Can you do me a favor real quick? Enlighten me. So somebody in the chat just said the same thing happens to me when I take my hat off. So we're going to do something unprecedented right now on the show. And I want
What's
you to
that?
I want you to give me your honest opinion. Actually, I like shaving my head. I've got no problem with it. That's not why I wear a hat, by the way. Denise, are you frightened by me? I'm sorry. Is your name Denise? Did I get your name wrong?
Yeah, my name is Denise. I'm not frightened by you, no.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to test that out because there was somebody in the chat that said, I think, I don't know. You tell me. Would you rather me take my hat off or would you rather Donald Trump take his shirt off? I don't know. What would you rather?
I'd rather you take your hat off.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I appreciate your call. Thank you for that. Maybe I should do a survey. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. By the way, I've been wearing hats since I was like 15 years old. But Donald Trump yet to take his shirt off in public. I'll take my hat off anytime, anywhere. By the way, the guy who made that statement in the YouTube chat just probably is now pleasuring himself. And he probably took a screenshot of me with my hat off. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. All right, let's see. Let's go to Marcia. Marcia's calling out of New Jersey. What's up, Marcia?
Hey, Brian. Well, first of all, I love your show.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
And New Jersey, and I'm an Idaho gal. But and I also Las Vegas. I grew up there as well.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, yes, I love Las Vegas. I am so upset because I've lost 10% now of my inheritance, my 401k plan.
Yeah.
And Trump is a total shit show. He's always been. I just don't understand how people could still vote for a con man, rapist, felon.
Yeah.
And think it was going to turn out differently.
Well, I think there's a lot of people in this country that are very ill-informed. There's a lot of people in this country that are very complicit. There's a lot of people in this country. Hey, lower your radio if you can, my dear, because we have a little bit of a delay here. If you can, I'd appreciate that. Thank you so much. There's a lot of people in this country that they're in a cult. Let's just call it for what it is. They're in a cult, and they could be buying gold sneakers. They could be buying Trump Bibles. They are in a cult. So, you can't get through to these people. They're brainwashed and they're gone, my dear. I mean, they are. I don't know what else to say. They're just gone. If that makes sense. Thank you for the call. I think we might have lost you there. Bad connection. It might have been George Soros. I don't know. We will get to the YouTube chat here in just a few, but we're going to take a few more calls. Let's go to Nick, who's calling from New Jersey. Hey, what's going on, Nick?
Hey, Brian, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
I know you've been talking about the tariffs, but I wanted to chime in on Trump deciding to go golfing down in Florida while 4 U.S. soldiers, were being brought back from Lithuania. I'm sorry if I'm a little upset about it because I'm former military, and it absolutely pisses me off.
Yeah.
The disgrace and the disgusting, vile behavior towards the military members and women.
Amen, my friend.
When they do it to those four, they do it to us all.
I agree. So,
okay?
how long
and
did
the
you...
fact that his cronies are complicit, don't say nothing to him, don't question him.
Mm-hmm.
They're just as guilty as he is.
You're so right, sir. Thank you for your service. How long, where did you serve?
I served in Iraq.
Thank you again. You're a hero. I want to ask you something because I felt like Donald Trump's behavior yesterday, beyond reprehensible, when you had these 4 brave soldiers who lost their lives in Lithuania, and we all should be emotional about that because it's a horrible, especially somebody like you. You have the right to be. And Donald Trump doesn't go, and he tells Pete Hegseth to go so he can play golf in Florida. I mean, this is, to me,
right.
This is exactly who this man is. Fair to say that?
I agree with you 100%. You know, all this talk about they're to pay back the blue, they back the military, they're full of you know what. It's just unbelievable to me. And what's you know what really bothers me as somebody that served in the military is I have a lot of friends, a lot of even family members that served but still voted for this man.
Yeah.
And I can't get my head around it, Brian. I really can't. I'm upset today. This thing is driving me crazy. What he decided to do. You're going to go play golf and watch the Saudis with their event? Are you kidding me?
PG-13 because we are on the radio, but I want to get your thoughts.
I understand. I apologize.
No. You're fine. I'm just saying that as a prerequisite because I'm asking you another question.
Okay.
If you had the opportunity to speak to Donald Trump right now and talk to him about yesterday's behavior on playing golf and the Live Golf Tour and all that stuff, instead of honoring these brave soldiers who lost their lives in Lithuania, what would you say to him?
Honestly, I would tell him to his face that you are not my president. You were never my president the first time. You're not my president now. You don't care about me or anybody else that died, fought, and served this country. And as far as I'm concerned, you're a disgrace. You're a traitor, and go live in Russia.
Yeah, or Gaza, you know, or
Gaza. Yeah, he wants to build his condos in Gaza. Let him go live there.
Hey, brother, I'm with you 100%. You have a right to be upset. We're all upset, and certainly I am. I appreciate your service. You're a hero, my friend.
I appreciate what you do, Brian. You keep doing what you're doing, bud. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Because of brave men like him, I'm able to go on the radio and do what I do every day, and I will never forget that. Never. And as much as I dislike a Ron DeSantis or a J.D. Vance, I think they're despicable people. But I also think they're very brave and they serve this country, and I would never crap on their military. Donald Trump shows that every single day. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. We need to call it out. We can't normalize this man's behavior. I'm sorry. We just can't. I do want to go to the YouTube super chat real quickly if I can. And I want to read some. Juan, thank you very much for your very generous donation. Juan says, in regards to the stock market, investors did not take into account that this administration has no guardrails and failed to consider that they will burn down the economy to prove a point. Now uncertainty is rampant. Well, I agree with you, Juan. You're 150% correct. Why is it that so many of these MAGA cultists don't understand what you seem to understand as a fairly educated man, right? I don't even think you have to be educated to understand that. Riot Town says, Steve got those MAGA knee pads on, orange stains all over his lips. Ooh, boy, a lot of people lost their appetite around lunchtime. But you're probably right about that, Riot Town. I don't necessarily disagree with you on that one. You're probably right about that. Again, going into the YouTube super chat, and you could also go on my website, pushingthelimits.live. Ida says, are you single, Brian? By the way, $25 donation. So you're automatically entered into the opportunity to possibly do a segment with me. And if you win, Ida, you could ask me that question live on the air. Am I single? Ask me in 2 weeks. There's a reason why I'm saying that. And there might be a lovely lady listening right now. But ask me in 2 weeks. Let's go to Vegas, Paul. How is it possible that dumbness is still ongoing in our country? Well, Vegas, Paul, it's a good question. Here's the best answer I can give you. We had a lot of stupid people in this country to begin with, but now they are comfortable in their stupidity. And a lot of these stupid people are voting, and a lot of these stupid people are buying the Trump Bibles. A lot of these stupid people are buying the Trump trading cards and the gold sneakers, yet they claim that they can't afford eggs. Roxy says, my body, my choice. Amen, Roxy. I do not want to tell women what to do with their bodies, period. Unless it's consensual. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want. So the opposite of Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump. Duke says, Brian, you've heard of Cliff Cash. He's not like you, and he's a resistance movement. We Are the Flood is gaining a lot of steam. Please have him on if possible. Well, I always do listen to you guys when it comes to your suggestions, and I will certainly look into that. Again, going back to the YouTube super chat. Ida said, I am smart. Randall says, hat off, you look like Chris Daughtry. Well, thank you. We're getting a lot of nice comments in the chat. Unfortunately, there's one gentleman that he claims he doesn't like bald heads. You know what it's like? It's like a guy that his entire life is anti-gay. He preaches anti-gayness, and then it turns out that he's gay. Sir, I think you in the chat that, wanted me to take my hat off, I think it actually got your rocks off. I really do. Riot Town says, how much more for a no shirt and hat show? Probably not going to take the shirt off during my show anytime soon. But if Donald Trump is willing to do the show and take his shirt off, I will certainly do that. My shirt is off enclosed door settings. That's way too much information for you. Or maybe if I have to pay somebody $130,000 for 13 seconds. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I confused that with Donald Trump. Let's get back to the phone calls. The Ottawa guy, by the way, Sean from Canada, loved the Peaky Blinders hat, especially on Morgan. Intimidating to those right-wing buffoons. Can't wait for the U.S. midterm. I can't wait either, Sean. Hey, don't steal my lines, right-wing buffoon. That's okay. You can buy the shirt, and then you could steal my line. Let's get back to the calls. Some great comments, by the way, in the YouTube Super Chat. You guys are awesome today, man. You guys are usually always awesome, but especially awesome today. You guys are great. Thank you, Ida, again, for the donation. Thank you, Lady Ark, who said the real person the orange bag of dog crap wants Greenland is because he wants to rename it after himself, and he's perfectly willing to send our sons and daughters to die for it. Well, you know what, Lady Ark? That's a very valid point you made. I didn't even think about that. You see what he did with the stupid gold card? He puts his blubbering face on it. Look at this gold card. Look at this, the $5 million going to play golf. But, Mr. President, what about the NASDAQ? What about the stocks? What about the 401ks? I just want to talk about this gold card. Just ridiculous. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to the MAGA destroyer. I got to get a little Darlene in my life from Oklahoma. Darlene, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. I finally got out of the hospital, so I'm back.
I'm glad to
Now,
hear you're okay.
listen,
Yes.
Thank you. I have a message for Steve. I mean, I know it was off topic, but I want to address him. Steve, I hope you're listening because what Brian said, every bit of it was the truth. And you are just ignorant. That's what I got to say about you. But then the next one I want to talk about is the other guy that was talking about the abortion. I want to ask him a question. I've said this on the radio before, and I'm going to say it again. When I was younger, my boyfriend said if I didn't get an abortion, he was going to kill me. So I would like to ask you, what if you did sense that? And don't say, oh, go to the police because I did.
Right.
And they didn't help me.
But here's the
either.
problem, Darlene, and I know, we've talked about that. It's horrible. You're talking about a man, again, who doesn't know what it's like to be pregnant, doesn't know what it's like to be the victim of an assault, but even worse, wants to tell you what to do with your body when it doesn't affect him at all.
Hell no.
And here's the thing about these and by the way, they're not pro-life, okay? They're anti-abortion. This is how stupid some of these people are. Right now in this country, with abortion still being legal in half the states at least, we have hundreds of thousands of kids that are waiting to be adopted. Usually the people that are the biggest advocates against abortion are the people that haven't adopted anybody in their life. They're idiots. That's what it is, Darlene. Well, I'm glad you're out of the hospital, my dear. I hope you relax and have a wonderful weekend, and it's always good to hear from you, okay?
Love you guys.
Thank you, Darlene. We love you as well. Darlene's getting definitely a lot of fans of her own in the chat. 702, which I love, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Canada, eh? Let's go to Yvonne. Yvonne is calling out of Canada. Yvonne, in your Canadian accent, if it's okay, who would you rather see, Donald Trump with his shirt off or Brian Shapiro with his hat off? That's I just wanted to ask you that. That's all. To boost my ego.
Brian, you look fantastic with your hat off.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're making me feel so warm and fuzzy inside. Thank you.
Although you need to get a tan.
Oh,
you need
yes.
to get a tan on your head.
I am very pasty white. That is a very valid.
Yeah, it was pretty bright.
Very valid criticism. But if I was Donald Trump, I'd be attacking you right now for saying that. Instead, I agree with you.
Okay, I do have a couple things to talk about. The tariff thing.
Yeah.
The guy that you were talking to before who was saying about, they're only going to be on for a few days. Well, we've had tariffs on Canada for steel and aluminum and potash for at least 2 weeks, if not more than that. I'm not sure how long it was. It was like sometime last month.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I was talking to someone today, and apparently Ford contacted Trump or his administration or something and said, listen, if you keep the tariffs on the autos, it would be better for Ford to move their operations completely to Canada and only pay tariffs once on the automobiles made in Canada, rather than the cost it would cost with the tariffs and the silliness.
Yeah.
My other thing on the tariff thing is Trump put on these tariffs. He hasn't really explained his future, what his plans are. My opinion is he's got concepts of a plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to say something about the gold card thing. Have you noticed that $5 million gold card? Every time he mentions it, he says it's going to be offered in the next 2 weeks.
He said
Just
that about
like his
concepts of a plan when it came to healthcare. He said the same thing.
Yeah, well, the 2 weeks thing he used to use for the infrastructure plan when he was in office.
And then Joe Biden was the one that was able to put the infrastructure bill together, the bipartisan bill, and Donald Trump was unable to do so. We've also heard for years now there's going to be a replacement plan for Obamacare. Where's that replacement plan? Concepts of a plan. He's a complete
concepts of a plan.
There's
another question.
Yeah.
Another thing. You know how he was saying how there's people putting money into your country?
Yeah.
And he was talking about some Asian company, I can't remember the name of the company, has said that they were going to put in a factory and do the chips.
Yeah.
He eliminated the CHIPS Act.
That's right. Chips and Science Act
they're not going to do it. They took the money from the government that Biden had within the CHIPS Act. They took the money to build the factory, but now they're not going to do it because of all the tariffs.
You are correct. You're absolutely right. This is why I love my Canadian callers. They're very informed. They're very educated. And I'm sorry that, our president of the United States is an orange orangutan fool. I appreciate your call, my dear. Thank you. I want to thank Amelia for the donation. She's Amelia is automatically entered into an opportunity to host a segment with me. As a veteran, retired Fed, and a patriot of this country, thank you, Brian. I'm so proud to be a cheesehead, and I'm proud to be part of this PTL family. Had or not, you're beautiful, Brian, inside and out. Well, thank you, Amelia. You are as well, and I appreciate you. And because of people like you that support the show, it gives us the opportunity to do it. So I won't forget that. Thank you for your kind donation. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. Let's go to Frankie. Frankie is next up on PTL. Hey, Frankie.
Hey, Brian. Great show as usual.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, I do want to talk about tariff a little bit.
Sure.
This might be a little bit roundabout, but I'll try to make this straightforward as possible.
Okay. Take your time.
Okay. Well, 2 days ago, Nintendo offered specs on their new gaming system that's supposed to debut in June. Well, in spite of the reviews, once the prices of the system and the games were announced, and they are crazy. We're talking $450 for a system and $90 for a game.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying that the tariffs might have something to do with the increased amount of money for them.
Yeah, I can't really speak to that because I am not educated on that issue. But what I will say in a general term, my friend, and I appreciate the call, is that there's always a method to Donald Trump's madness where it benefits him. It's either going to benefit him financially. It's either going to benefit some of his tech billionaires. There's always a reason why he does certain things. Now, sometimes it's just to boost his ego, right? I think we all could agree on that. But there's always a means to his madness where it will benefit him in one way, shape, or form. So that's the best way I can answer that. By the way, thanks to Rose, who made a donation on pushingthelimits.live. Rose says, my husband is bald. He shaves his head. He always says that's why he's smart. That's a funny comment. Thank you, Rose, for your donation. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the program. Jacob also has put up a donation in the YouTube Super Chat. Thank you, Jacob, for your donation. We appreciate you as well. F MAGA, Kamala warned us, what the F is wrong with these people? My uncle is a millionaire. I have a lot to lose. Well, listen, we all have a lot to lose, and I'm with you, Jacob. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's get to some other phone calls, if I may, because we're running out of time here. Let's go to Judy, who's calling out of New York. Hey, Judy. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian. Hi. Mainly, what I wanted to point out to people is what the tariffs did to exacerbate the Great Depression. My parents lived through the Depression. My father, although he was not in the service, he worked building airplanes in Buffalo, New York. And with 7 children, he was able to come out of World War II, and the economy was starting to really pick up. And so he was able to do much better for a large family, which there were a lot of large families then. But I wonder if you can point out to people what exactly happened in order for those tariffs to really decimate our economy and cause the Depression. I think people need to look at history and they need to understand it, because this is probably worse. I don't understand the difference between today's economy and the economy then. I know that it was in pretty much trouble then.
Well, it's probably a little bit more of a reactionary, that's the first thing I would say. It's more, for example, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So China came back with 34% tariffs today on imports from the U.S. And today the Dow plunged like somewhere, I think I've heard 1,900 points. I've heard 2,200 points, somewhere around there. Not important. It's somewhere in that category. But the Dow plunged like 900 points last week when he just threatened, with all the threats before China. So I think we're a little bit more reactionary now than we were maybe in years past. I would say that's number one. And I would say number two, we're just living in a different world right now. It's a different economy. There are different things that you can purchase, that you can buy, all sorts of different items, different import. It's endless. So I think it's just a different time that we're living in now, my dear. And there's a reason why we've never had these tariffs implemented, at least in my lifetime, because they're not going to work, and it's going to crumble our economy. And I think a lot of world leaders all over are fed up with Donald Trump. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Chip, who's calling out of North Carolina. Hey, Chip, what's going on?
What's going on, Brian? How you doing today?
Hey, good. What's on your mind today, Chip?
How did this orange-stained wannabe president decide to put a tariff on an uninhabited island full of penguins?
Because he's an idiot, and because a lot of the people... a lot of the people around him are unqualified idiots as well. He's an idiot. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
Do you think it was intentional? Like, is there any chance, any bit of chance at all that it was intentional?
Here's why I say no, okay? Because if there's one thing Donald Trump hates more than anything is when he's mocked, when he's made fun of. He doesn't like negative press. In fact,
ego.
Right. His ego would not allow him to do this as some sort of joke to troll people, because it makes him look really stupid, which he is. So, no, the answer, my answer is no. I think they had no idea what they were doing. There's many people in Donald Trump's administration that are completely unqualified. They're idiots, and now even penguins are suffering. So,
I've come to the conclusion the only way it would make sense that he did it on purpose is because he found out the penguins were called king penguins, and that's something he'll never be able to be, and he's jealous.
Next thing they'll do is they'll do what they did in Greenland, and they'll staple some "Make America Great Again" hats on the penguins and feed them. I mean, that's what Uday and Kusei will do, also known as Eric and Donald Trump Jr.
I mean, Brian, last time I talked to you, I told you it's red, white, and blue land. How dare you miss?
Yeah, that's right. It's blue land. Yeah. Well, they don't want, I'll tell you what, those good people in Greenland, they don't want those imbeciles there. They don't want JD, the couch assaulter Vance there. They don't want, you think they want Don Jr. and Charlie Kirk there? You want to talk about disgusting. Oh my God. Just disgusting.
I don't want them here.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't. Trust me, I don't want them here either. If they want to go to Greenland, they can stay there. Please don't come back. One-way ticket to Greenland. I'm with you there, but then I feel bad for the people of Greenland. Let's go to Gary. Gary is next on PTL. What's up, Gary?
I think Donald Trump is conferring a lot more than you think he is on the golf course, and I think he's prepared to blow up Iran, blow them up to smithereens, and get everyone's mind off the tariffs and scare the living hell out of everybody.
What would make
these
you
other
think
countries that don't want to cooperate? Because they'll realize that he means what he says.
All right.
And that he's capable of doing anything.
So let me get this
and
right.
They will come to the table and they will negotiate.
Okay, so Gary, let's dissect your opinion a little bit here. So yesterday, Donald Trump decided to go to his golf course, Doral, because the Saudis paid him millions of dollars so that they could have the Live Golf Tournament. And you're saying he decided to go out there and come up with a plan, not in the White House, but on the golf course to nuke another country? You think that's the timing of it, even if you're claiming he's deciding to do that, which I don't think he is? You think he decided to do it on the golf course in between golf shots?
I think that he negotiates and he talks to those people. They're hosting this thing with Russia and Ukraine on his behalf. He may be doing
hosting,
what you say he's doing.
Okay. They're
being,
hosting. Hold on. Let's talk about Russia, Gary, and Ukraine. He's hosting this thing. Well, let's review a little bit. There was a ceasefire deal put in place. Vladimir Zelensky was waiting to sign on the dotted line. He was ready to go. And then Putin decided to go with some airstrikes, and unfortunately, innocent people lost their lives, women and children, in Ukraine. So I'm not sure what you're talking about when you're referring to him and his negotiating skills. Hamas just broke another ceasefire, right? There was another ceasefire in place. So he said the war was going to be over in 24 hours. It's no closer to being over now than it was on day one. The Israel-Palestinian conflict is no closer to being over now than it was on day one. Okay. Inflation is through the roof. We know that the Dow is some of the lowest numbers they've had since COVID. The stock market is down. Every economic number and baseline, including grocery prices and eggs, are through the roof. Okay. They're up since day one. Tell me what Donald Trump has done for you, since you think he's such a wonderful negotiator. Please tell me.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't even think you should take callers, because all you do is talk over everyone, and you're just a one-man talk machine.
I'm not going to talk over everyone.
We're not even having a conversation.
Okay, so
dude.
Gary,
what are you talking about?
Okay, so I need you to listen, and then you take over. You said he's a great...
I don't want to listen. I had enough.
You don't want to
Enough is enough
listen.
of you.
You called into the show.
You don't want.
You
all
watch
you
the
do
show
is
every
talk.
day. Well, okay, here we
And
go.
put Donald
All right,
Trump-
here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pushing the Limits. The new host, Gary. Gary, take it away. I just gave him the opportunity to talk. I just gave him the platform, and then he hung up the phone. So this imbecile calls into this show, because that's what he is. He's an imbecile. He calls into this show saying that Donald Trump is coercing a plan to nuke another country. I think he said Iran. There's no evidence of that, by the way. And he's choosing to do it in between golf shots at Doral. Then when I questioned him on that, he said Trump was the great negotiator when it came to Ukraine and Russia. He said the war was going to be over in 24 hours. It's not over. So then I asked Gary a very simple question. I said, Gary, if you think he's a great negotiator, what has he done for you? Gary then gets defensive, saying I'm interrupting him. And then I offered Gary to be the next host of Pushing the Limits. I gave him the platform. I gave him an introduction. I was going to be quiet, and I was just going to let Gary talk. What did Gary do? Like what many other MAGA imbeciles do. Gary hung up the phone. Gary, have a nice day. Have a great weekend. Listen to your Trump Bible and go fly a kite. Read your Trump Bible or listen to it. I don't know. Maybe you have the audio version. All right, who are we going to next here? Let's go to Eric. He's calling out of Michigan. Hey, Eric, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing? I'm 100% with you. I think these people are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. Matter of fact, I'm a truck driver, a local truck driver here in Michigan. People, for instance, someone this morning alone just said, she said something about, I said, thousands of people, there's tons of people losing money in the stock market. She said she lost $17,000 in 2 weeks, and that's the price you have to pay for the country to make it better again.
Yeah.
I'm just dumbfounded on how dumb these people are.
You know, I am too, my friend. And I always knew that there were dumb people in society. I just didn't realize how many of them we had here, right? I mean, there's so many of them. I'm like, I never could have believed that so many of these people could look up to the orange turd. I'm amazed.
I totally 100% agree.
Yeah. Well, you know, you keep up the great work, and I hope that when you're driving that truck, you listen to this show and you enjoy it. And there's a lot of noise there in the background, but that's okay. And I appreciate your call, by the way. I also want to thank Yvonne for a very generous donation. Yvonne says, I've lost $30,000 since 47 started his term. We here will come out well before America. Try to hold on will bounce back after he's gone. Well, thank you for your donation. I love my listeners out there in Canada. Yvonne, you're one of my loyal listeners in Canada, and I so greatly appreciate you. And thank you so much for your support of this show. It really does mean the world to me. I really appreciate it. Paul's calling out of California. What's up, Paul?
Man, I wasn't going to call, but could I just say something about that last caller?
Sure.
You are a total idiot. You could be living on the side of the street, losing your home with your 401k at $0, eating garbage without tennis shoes, and he would be sitting there saying, "This is Donald Trump playing chess while you're playing checkers. It's all part of his master plan. You don't understand. He's a great businessman." Brian, the stupidity of these people, like they're on Facebook, Brian, these kind of dummies, like, oh, these are reciprocal tariffs. He's putting reciprocal tariffs on McDonald Island that's occupied by freaking penguins. Like, these people are beyond stupid, Brian. They make stupid look smart.
You're right.
I don't understand what these people have to do to wake up from this reality. I just don't get it. They're so dumb.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. They are. Unfortunately, in my lifetime, I've always said I don't mind stupid people unless they're affecting my life. And all these people who voted for Donald Trump, it's affecting our lives, my friend.
They are. And Brian, last thing, they're on like Fox News, right? And they're showing the chart, and it's like down 1,600 points, 12. Like literally, it is on fire. And the person in the Trump cabinet's like, "We are so thankful for Donald Trump and his leadership." And literally, like the stock market is burning behind her on the screen. It just feels like some kind of weird, twisted, upside down reality. It's like, are you guys on the same planet that I'm in?
They're not. They're not. I mean, I've always thought that Marjorie Taylor Greene was on the three-toe planet. Is there a three-toe planet? I don't know. Paul, thank you for the call, my friend. You might be filling in for me very soon, so I appreciate you calling.
All right, bud.
All right, take care,
Later.
Paul. Three-toe Marjorie Taylor Greene. Thank you to Pauline on pushingthelimits.live. She made a donation. She says Mark Carney will be forced to be reckoned with for Trump. He hasn't mentioned 51st state of governor since he talked to PM Carney. Carney is respected and well-educated, successful, and extremely intelligent. He can think circles around Trump. I agree with you, Pauline. Thank you for your donation. We appreciate you. Carney's a very intelligent man. Who are we going to next here? Hava is calling out of California. Hi, Hava.
Hi, shalom, ma shomcha. I'm just calling from the beautiful blue state of California. In terms of the tariffs, I think something that people should keep in mind is that demagogues tend to do really well in these really severe economic downturns. And something I'm concerned about is if America is as dumb as Trump and his cronies are expecting us to be, will he use this opportunity to pivot and really wage some sort of xenophobic messaging war and really use this to blame migrants and other marginalized people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when you look at what happened in New Orleans, the attack in New Orleans, what did Donald Trump do in his base of racist supporters? They blamed it on well, first DEI hires, then they said it was a migrant, an illegal. That's what they do. After a plane crash over Reagan Airport, he blamed the crash on DEI hires. They blame it on brown people. If that doesn't work, they blame it on Joe Biden or Barack Obama. If that doesn't work, like I said, they'll blame it on George Soros. They'll blame it on Democrats. Donald Trump has never taken responsibility for anything in his life. And yesterday was the perfect example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and then just two more quick things. A federal judge just ordered the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man who they actually admitted was wrongfully deported to El Salvador. So they're demanding that he is returned by the end of the day on Monday. So hopefully that works out for him and his family. So. Yeah, and then one more quick thing is that it is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention and say thank you for always keeping, Trump's libel conviction at the forefront, and the fact that he is, in fact, a libel sexual abuser of women.
No doubt. No doubt. Thank you, by the way. Great phone call. I appreciate you out there in California, not too far from where we are in Vegas. We're going to take a few more calls here. Let's go to Ray, who's calling out of Florida. What's up, Ray?
Hey, Brian. Thank you for being my voice. I don't have the expertise that you do. Let's see, what the hell was I going to say? Talking about history. I've been around a couple of years.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know about history. My mega neighbors will not listen to history. I tried to give them some paperwork, which you have seen yourself. They absolutely refuse to look at it. What the hell is wrong with these people? Years ago, they said, how's your investment doing? It's all about the Benjamins. Well, they won't even come out of the house now for me to ask them. These people, I don't know, they got their head up where the sun don't shine. And I don't know, I'm running out of words.
Well, listen, you're never out of words. You always have a platform on this show, my friend, and you're probably know more about history than I do. That's for sure. But I'll tell you one thing: MAGA Republicans should not be taking out some of the books that they are, and they don't want to hear the history of the way this country has treated minorities. Or we need to have a voice. Children, college students need to learn the history of this country. And again, MAGA Republicans just want the 10 Commandments in there and Trump Bibles. Let's go to Rick. Rick is calling out of Las Vegas. Hey, Rick, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. So I'm not that smart a guy. I read the news and follow it like everybody else. And I've been reading everything that says the tariffs are bad. It's totally bad for the world economy. It's going to crash, everything bad. I guess what the imbalance, I read these lists of the tariffs that America pays on our products to every country, pretty much every, top producing country. And that doesn't seem to crash the world economy. It's okay for us to pay all these outrageous tariffs, way more than we're charging. But yet that doesn't seem to hurt the economy. Like, why is the imbalance justified, or everyone's like, you're just going to pay? And my second question is, what would happen to the economy if every country just said no tariffs? You sell in a free market. Whatever you sell your shoes for that's it. What would happen?
Well, I appreciate the call, by the way. I think those are two really good questions. I'm not sure I have the time to answer both of them, but I will say this. What would happen? I got to be honest with you. That's what I think in a perfect world, that's what we would want, right? We would want a free market where no tariffs are implemented and people do what they want. They sell what they want, where they want. And for example, in this country, the American consumer doesn't have to pay the brunt of it. The problem we have are the people that are implementing these tariffs don't even really have a grasp of how they work. Caroline Levitt doesn't know how tariffs work. She doesn't understand. And if she does understand, she's lying to the American people. Donald Trump, if he doesn't understand, he's lying to the American people. Listen, it could be a little bit of both, but I certainly think that we're in it and we're in some trouble. So I'm running up against the clock here, so I want to introduce my next guest, who always ends the week on a Friday with some positive news, which is what we always need on a Friday. Yes, that's right. I'm talking about the woman. You've seen her on the Jimmy Kimmel Show multiple times. You've seen her on Dr. Phil. Are you kidding me? Dr. Phil, my Dr. Phil impersonation. She is a former pastor now, OnlyFans model and life coach. And it's always great to catch up at the end of the week with the very beautiful Nicole Mitchell joining us right now on the show. Nicole, how's it going? I'm liking the hairdo there.
Thank you. We got the pigtails. I'm like, it's fun Friday. Let's just have fun and
yes,
dress up. So
yes, I'm
that's
liking
what
it.
I'm doing.
I don't have enough hair for pigtails, unfortunately, but if I did, I think your look would probably be a little bit better than mine. So Nicole, obviously, throughout the country, there's a lot of people that are struggling with these tariffs, and people are losing their jobs, and there's a lot of people that are very stressed out. So I want you to share with us some positive stories, which we weren't able to get to last week because we had a MAGA porn star in studio, and that didn't go as well as I would have hoped. So, so share with me your top story this week, a positive story that you found that you want to share with some of our listeners.
So one of my favorite stories is of this guy who has a disability. He's in a wheelchair. He can't walk. And, traditionally someone with that kind of disability would be very held back in society. Our society is not still very accessible. You don't have as many opportunities or privileges as an able-bodied person would. But due to technology, he now uses drones to help farmers get pesticide in the right places on their fields. And these farmers are happy to hire him and pay him so that they are getting their fields pesticided right. And he's able to make money, live successfully, uses his van to get around, uses his drone to make an income. And it's just like, we have a lot of issues in 2025. Very obvious, very apparent. And also, I love seeing that the technology we do have helping real people like this gentleman.
I think that is such an incredibly cool story, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So I was reading a story, Nicole, of a swimmer who happens to be blind that did something that most people that actually have their eyes that are working properly are unable to do. Can you share with me this story? Because it's so incredibly fascinating, and it's a lifting story.
Yeah, so a woman who is blind swam the entire English Channel, which is insane. People die, like sailors die. People die over there. I don't say all the time, but it happens. And here's a woman who is blind who successfully not only swam across the English Channel, she broke the record. And it just is so inspiring. She's older. She didn't think she'd be able to do it. I think she's around 60 to do it at this point in life. But the ocean is the one place as a blind person where she feels free. So there's nothing she can run into. All of the other senses in her body come alive since she can't see. And it's the one time she's free to just take up space, and obviously broke a world record. And I'm just so blown away by this woman.
See, I agree with that because, for those of us, that go to the beach or around water, you close your eyes, you smell the fresh air. That's the first thing that I notice. It's like, it's not like Vegas. We don't have a lot of water here. You smell the fresh air, the beach, just the feeling, the sun on you, what you hear, right? The sounds of the water and the ocean, right? And I just feel like, yeah, your senses are up a lot. And I think she's 100% right on that. And I think when you can't see, your senses, right? Your sense of smell, your sense of taste, your sense of touch is like, I've heard 5 to 10 times multiplied than those of us who do have good eyesight, right?
Yes. And the fact that she not only has that, but then leverage that to somehow break a world record and do something that is so risky. I
Yeah.
just love learning about people who defy the odds. And between this man who's using the drones and this woman who's swimming across the English Channel, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't wish that upon anybody to be blind, but I will say this. I'm sure if you asked Stormy Daniels if there was ever a moment in her life where she wishes she was blind, it was when she had to spend 13 seconds with Donald Trump when he was on top of her. So I would say that was, and I would probably put Melania Trump in that boat as well, because I always say, I hate Donald Trump, but if there's anybody that hates him more than me, it's probably Melania Trump. I don't know. I have to ask you something. Let's have a little fun here, because there was a guy in the chat who's clearly obsessed with me, and we're having some fun with this because I took my hat off in the middle of the show. I shaved my head. I've been wearing hats since I was 15. What would you say about bald men? Like, because there are some women that don't like it, and then there are some women that think a man who shaves his head is sexy. Like, what? And don't try to appease me. I won't be offended. But like, what do you think about men who shave their head?
My truth is the sexiest thing I can find about a man is confidence. So if
Yeah.
you have a bald head and you're confident, that is a turn on. If you have a head full of hair and you're confident, that is a turn on. But the flip side is true. If you have a bald head and you're not confident, that's a turn off. If you have a head full of hair and you're not confident,
Yeah.
that's a turn off. To me, it's such an energy thing that if you can
Yeah.
rock it and you feel good about it, I'm down for it.
So basically what you're saying is you think the 4 hair transplants that Donald Trump had are very sexy. Is that what you're trying to say, Nicole?
I have nothing against hair transplants. I love that he's in support of gender affirming care with his own body. But
Yeah.
yes, I think he has to work on his confidence in other ways.
I agree. As long as you don't have hair growing in all the wrong places, then you're okay with that. Nicole, I heard a rumor, and I don't know if this is true or not. It's just a rumor that you might be coming out here to spend the weekend with me for my birthday. Is that true? I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I've heard someone's been a very good boy.
Okay.
And so I love being the one who makes dreams come true.
About
So
that.
if you are still a good boy over the next 2 weeks, I might
will.
be there and celebrate you.
I love the sound of that. That sounds great. We're going to have some fun.
Yes, we are.
What do you got going on this weekend? Anything fun with the fam?
This weekend, I have a photo shoot for my OnlyFans. I have some super hot content I planned for them, and then literally just or poolside. It's finally warming up here, Brian. I don't know what it is right now in Vegas. It's just
all right.
breaking into the 70s, and I'm
wow.
ready to lay by the pool and just bask in the sun.
Oh, that is so cool. We're definitely going to have to do some pool time because, as people said, I am very white. I'm pasty white. I need a tan desperately, but I don't want to get too brown, because if I get too brown, then Donald Trump is going to deport me. So we definitely don't want that to happen. But anyway, Nicole, looking great as always. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to see you out here in Vegas in a couple weeks. I love the hair, by the way. I got to say,
Thank you.
I love it. I'm
so
really
fun.
liking it. It looks great. Maybe
Let me
that'll
show
be
you the outfit, Brian, real quick. I mean, he's got to appreciate The whole vibe.
Wow. Look at
Right.
that. I love that. I
It's
love
just
it.
a feel good Friday.
I love it. I'm sure I would look just as good in that outfit. I'm sure. No question. No,
You would rock it.
Numchuck is about to throw up. Anyway, you're looking great as always, Nicole. Looking beautiful, and can't wait to see you out here in Vegas. And I appreciate the positivity and the positive news because things can get a little bit serious and a little heated on this show from time to time.
Yes.
So, Nicole, you're the best. Have a great weekend with the
too.
family. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. There you go. Nicole doesn't mind a man who shaves his head as long as he's a little bit confident with it. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. So I do want to remind everybody that this is an independently run radio show. So we appreciate, man, we've had so many great people. I'm very humbled on the YouTube super chat and people that have donated on my website, which is pushingthelimits.live. I love all you guys. And I was asked to go on TikTok live. I usually don't go on TikTok live. I'm very infrequent, but maybe I'll do it a little bit more now because it's been successful and a lot of people enjoy it. So maybe I'll continue to do that as well. We're on all the platforms. Occupy Democrats, of course, their Twitter account, the the Washington Press page, which is owned by Occupy Democrats. We are also on the FM dial KSHP, my personal YouTube page. We're trying to get to 100,000 followers as soon as we can. And it seems like every day, it seems like it is. We're at 88,200 subscribers now. I think we were at like 86 yesterday. So, I mean, sometimes we have some really, really good days and we get a jump. But we want you to give us the thumbs up, whether you're in the TikTok page, give us the likes, whether you're on YouTube, give us the thumbs up. We appreciate word of mouth. So do what you can to help us at PTL Radio Show. I'm on YouTube. There I'm every day live. Every day, the best place to watch me and listen is on YouTube at PTL Radio Show. Yes, we do TikTok. Yes, we do Twitch. Yes, we're on X. We do all those other platforms as well. But we appreciate you guys. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. I'm going to have a great weekend, and I hope you guys do as well. We're going to have some very special guests joining us on the show next week. And I've heard a rumor that Caroline Leavitt might be joining us on the show next week. That's right. We're trying to get an exact time. Ooh, is that going to be interesting? So Caroline Leavitt might be joining us on the show next week. I love all you guys in PTL Nation. Please have a safe and happy weekend, and we will see you on Monday, same time, same place. Take care, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part, every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each
I have
class
Ron ready. Just go so you can
very
grab
own
some food
radio
or something.
show. You'll be live on the air.
Just go so you can grab some food. Are you good? You're perfect. Turn. Marco up. Right there. Up. Up. Right there. 10-4. $3:30 out time because then you can go and grab some food. You know what I'm saying? Because you said you were. 2:30 and 3. I got you. No, I know you do.
Three.
You didn't want programming to hear you talking.
The Bigger and Weirder 2025 tour. Playing his biggest hits in his biggest show ever.
You're the best, TC.
With special guest Puddle's Pity Party, June 13th through 21st at the Venetian Resort, Las Vegas. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time at Ticketmaster.com.
Clear Sky Resorts invites you to escape the ordinary with a vacation that's extraordinary. Experience one-of-a-kind glamping vacations full of fun and adventure at their unique Sky Dome Resort near the Grand Canyon. To ensure every Clear Sky Resorts vacation is fun and memorable, they offer lots of family-friendly activities